Hey everyone, this is Charles Mitri from loungeboudoir.com, and today we're going to talk about where you can shoot boudoir if you don't have your own studio. So, we're going to go over a list of options where you can shoot and kind of explore each one and see which one works best for you. The first option is your own home where you live. Now, when I first started, I shot in my living room in an apartment, and at first I didn't think it was going to work. I had these two windows at the far end, and it didn't even get direct sunlight. There was actually a building across the driveway where the sun hit that building and then bounced into my windows. And I put up these sheer curtains, and just by looking at it with my eye, I didn't think there was enough light, but when I actually shot there with my camera, there was plenty of light, and it was soft and diffused, and it worked really great. So even if your own human eye looks like there may not be enough light, usually your camera is going to pick up more light. It'll look pretty good, I think. It did for me. So you can shoot in your own home. Now, if you have a spare bedroom, that would be a great place to shoot, or just a spare empty room where you could put an inflatable bed. Inflatable beds are great. I use one, and they're very portable. They inflate in about 5 minutes. They have an internal electronic pump that inflates it and deflates it, and it's very fast. And they're very easy to move. You put some sheets on there, and it looks just like a bed. Now, I wouldn't recommend shooting in your own bedroom, especially if you're a male boudoir photographer. I think that sends the wrong message. If you're shooting a friend or something, you might be able to, I don't know, that might work for you, but there's a big trust factor with shooting boudoir, especially when it's a male boudoir photographer. And if you can shoot in the living room or another place, that would probably be best. So another place to shoot is your client's space where they live. If your place doesn't work, you could ask, would it be all right to shoot there? It might work out really well. You'd have to go there first to check out the space and the light, but they might go for it. They would certainly feel very comfortable there, and all their clothes would be there. They wouldn't have to pack it all up and drive to another spot. So that's a possibility. Another possibility would be either a friend of yours or a friend of your subject's. She may have a friend whose place would work, and she might actually want to be there as well during the shoot. Or you might have a friend whose house would work, and you could ask if you could use their place. It might be, you could either compensate them with money or some type of trade that you guys work out. Another possibility could possibly be your makeup artist's place. Now, if she's a professional makeup artist and you're paying her full fee, it's probably not gonna be work out too well. But if she's kind of building up her her samples and trying to build up a clientele, she may be doing it for trade or whatnot. She might actually want that. So that's a possibility. Another place, of course, is renting a studio somewhere. There are, high-end professional studios in most big cities or smaller cities, and then there are these independent studios, small independent spaces that usually people rent out as well. So check out Craigslist or get on Facebook at if you belong to a photographer/model/makeup artists Facebook group, post there asking if anyone knows of a space, and usually you'll get a response pretty quickly. Another option is to join a co-op studio, which is what I do. I share a studio with, I think it's like at least 3, maybe 4 other photographers. They all pay a monthly fee. There are two people who actually have the lease, and then I pay a monthly fee, and I get so many hours per month. And the great thing about that is if I used up all my hours, then I can just pay how many hours I need after that. But I don't have the responsibility of a lease. Another option could be your garage. Now, if you're going to make your garage your studio, then you really kind of need to make it a studio and have it be a pleasant space to be in. It needs to be air conditioned in the summer or heated in the winter. Probably some type of carpeting or hardwood floor put in. If it's going to be your permanent studio space, it would actually be a studio built inside your garage. In fact, I do know of one photographer in Southern California who does that. And I'm sure there's dozens and dozens of other people that do that as well. What I do sometimes is I actually practice in my garage without a live model. I'll either have a styrofoam wig head or I'll just use whatever I can. And it's really more or less for me to experiment with lighting, because I do a lot of lighting with flash and beauty dish and cross light, as well as natural light through a window. And I actually have windows in my garage that works with natural light as well. And it saves me from spending my hours at the studio. Another possibility could be renting a hotel room. Now, there are pros and cons with renting a hotel room. First of all, they're set up perfectly for a boudoir shoot. You have your windows usually at one end of the room, and it creates this kind of shaft of light throughout the room. So if you do dark and moody, sort of natural light boudoir, it's perfect for that, because the further the model is away from the light, the harsher the shadows are going to be. But you still get highlights. And then if you want a softer, lighter look, they usually have a set of sheer curtains that softens the light, and you can move your model closer to the window and fill up that frame with soft, natural, soft light. Again, if you're a male boudoir photographer, I don't think it's the greatest scenario, especially if you've never met the person before. Like I said, there's a big trust factor when it comes to shooting boudoir in the first place with someone you never met before. And then throw on top of that being male and all the social dynamics that go on with male-female stuff. And it's a big hurdle for a lot of people to get over. If you're a female, you probably would have a lot more luck with that. Now, when I went around in this area here, when I first moved here about a little over a year ago, this is Southern Virginia. It's Yorktown, Virginia, Newport News area. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know any studios. There were very few studios around here. And I went around to the hotels and I just said, hey, look, I'm a boudoir photographer. I want to check out your rooms for possibly shooting in. Check out the light. Is there, do you have a problem with that? Are there any rules about that? And every single one of them had no problem at all, except for one. And that was only because they were afraid that their logo would be in the images, which, I wouldn't want that anyway. I don't want, let's just say, for example, Holiday Inn over my client's shoulder as I shoot her. But they didn't want to take that risk. Every other person, I went to about a dozen places, because there are a ton of hotels in this area for some reason. There's a large military presence here. I think it's the largest per capita anywhere in the country, because we have an Air Force base, we have an Army base, we have a Marine base, we have a Naval base, and we have NASA. So there's a lot of people moving in and out of the area, and there's also a lot of contract work at these different bases. So people will come in for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They need a place to stay. That's why these hotels are booked a lot of the times. Another thing with a hotel, if you decide to use a hotel as your photo shoot place, is, check-in is usually around 3 o'clock. Now, in the summertime, that works because you still have plenty of daylight left. Sometimes the sun sun won't set till 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. They come in at 3, hair and makeup for about an hour, and you still have a good 2 hours to shoot. In the wintertime, though, when the sun goes down a lot sooner, you're not going to have that window of opportunity for sunlight is going to shrink dramatically. It could start getting dark at 4:30, and you just have no light left. You could request an early check-in if nothing's going on, if they have a low occupancy rate. You can't really rely on that, though. So you have to factor that into the equation. Also, seasonally, if there are events such as in June where there are graduations, and let's say you have a college, a university in your area, that hotel is going to be booked up. It's just going to be booked up in June because people are going to come into town for the graduation. So keep that in mind, as well as any kind of conferences, big conferences, or even conventions you might have in your area. So hotels are good, but they can be unpredictable. Another place you could look is renting out an Airbnb. Now, the great thing about Airbnb is you can go online, you can look at the space. They usually have great pictures. You can see kind of the light in a space that they have in a room. When I inquired about shooting in an Airbnb, I think I contacted 13 different places and I got 0 response. I sent them emails inquiring about shooting a boudoir there and I got nothing back. I don't know why. Not even like, no, I'm not interested. So that was kind of weird. I would say if you do rent an Airbnb, make sure you rent the entire place. You don't want to rent a room in a house because they could be renting other rooms with other people and there's not going to be any privacy. Some of these places would have been great. It's still something I really want to try and explore in the future here if the space I don't have right now for some reason doesn't work out anymore. Now, if you do rent an Airbnb, whether or not you should tell them you're going to be shooting there or not, I mean, I don't know. Personally, I don't know really what impact that would have. They may have an issue with their room being photographed for whatever reason. I don't know. They might get a little weird about that. So whether or not you disclose to them you'll be doing a shoot there or not, you might have to look into that and decide for yourself. So other places you could look would be a yoga studio, art studio, or dance studio. Now these spaces are usually wide open and they're usually run by small independent business owners. So they may be open to the possibility of you shooting there on their off hours when there are no classes. And that would, of course, help with their rent as well. You would probably have to establish somewhat of a relationship with the owner. I mean, relationship. I mean, you wouldn't be dating them or anything, but it may take more than one meeting with them to have them warm up to you and your idea. So there's that. Last but not least would be, well, probably least, would be renting office space. Now there are quite a few companies out there that rent office space by the month, by the week, and maybe even by the day. Big windows, usually they're tinted, but with plenty of light coming through. Your only issue you would have to worry about would be privacy and how, the client would be, where they would be changing. But it could work for you in your area if that's all that is available to you. I've never done it, but I've inquired about office space before, so some of the situations are open, which wouldn't work obviously, and others are, more private, just completely private office spaces. And if you bring in an inflatable mattress, an inflatable bed, not a mattress, an inflatable bed, because you want that height off the ground, you don't want it to look like a mattress on the floor, then that's the perfect setup. You can bring it in, it can be blown up, throw some sheets on there, have a window, and put it in a corner, and that can work for you. So I wanted to throw that out there in case anyone was interested in that idea. And that is about it. So those are some ideas where you can shoot boudoir if you don't have your own studio. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more of these videos, I would appreciate it if you hit subscribe, and I'll be making these about once a week is what I'm going for. So check out loungeboudoir.com for the full article on this topic. Where can I shoot boudoir if I don't have my own studio? I'll put a quick link in the description. You can click on that and it will list all the places that I talked about, and you can go from there. All right, thanks so much, and I will see you in the future at some point in the YouTube universe.